Avoidants often avoid Valentine's Day, especially if you're dealing with a dismissive avoidant or a fearful avoidant that leans heavily dismissive. It is very common for them to pull back, fade away, get distant, get cold, or even ghost or discard a partner altogether on or around Valentine's Day. It's a brutal, painful experience because this is a day where your partner is supposed to show up for you. They're supposed to show you that they love you and appreciate you. It's a day of romance. And here you are, feeling like you don't even matter to the person that's supposed to show you that they love you. Well, there are reasons for this. And the main reason is your expectations. No, it's not that you're wrong for having expectations. It's just that expectations are one of the biggest triggers in existence for a dismissive avoidant. The reason goes back to their childhood, where they received consistent childhood emotional neglect. They were not given the love and nurturing in the way that they needed, and their feelings were routinely dismissed. But in addition to that neglect, which they personalized, causing them to grow up to feel unlovable and defective, in addition to that neglect, they often had parents that put very high expectations on them, huge expectations for success that they felt that they couldn't meet. So they grow up feeling like they cannot live up to expectations, that they will inevitably disappoint anybody that expects anything of them. And this is definitely applicable to romantic relationships. So even the bare minimum of expectations, even normal expectations, feel insurmountable to the dismissive avoidant, because their feeling is that I am inevitably going to disappoint this person. I'm not good enough, and this person is going to figure out that I'm not good enough. It triggers every bit of anxiety in their body. But they were never shown how to deal with stress. They were never shown how to cope with any kind of anxiety or even talk about their feelings. They feel unlovable and defective. So they learn to do is avoid. That's what they learn to do, to just not deal with any problems. Stick their head in the sand, put on a happy face. Well, now they know that you have expectations on them for Valentine's Day. You're expecting them to show up for you, to do romantic gestures. They're fully aware that you are expecting them to show you love and that you are expecting to feel loved and appreciated on this day, which triggers them. Their limbic system is on fire with anxiety because of your expectations. So they look to protect themselves by creating emotional distance between you and them. Now that feeling of defectiveness and being unlovable, that's a wound of shame. And that's why that emotional closeness doesn't feel safe to them. Because in their subconscious mind, their fear is, if I lower my walls and I let my partner in and I get too vulnerable and too close, they're going to figure me out. And I will be exposed as being unlovable and defective. And I'm going to get rejected and abandoned. But if they create emotional distance, well, they can protect themselves from being exposed as what they believe themselves to be, which is defective and unlovable. So emotional closeness feels very unsafe. Emotional distance feels safe. So they're filled with anxiety because of your expectations, and they are desperate to self-soothe, which is to create distance, avoid the situation altogether, and really avoid that vulnerability that they fear so much with you. So Valentine's Day is a very triggering day for dismissive avoidance. Sometimes so much to the point where they feel the urge to abruptly end the relationship because they're so overwhelmed with anxiety. It's not your fault if you got abruptly discarded, blindsided, ghosted on Valentine's Day. It's not your fault if they suddenly pulled away from you on Valentine's Day or around Valentine's Day. If you showed up consistently as a loving, emotionally available partner and you treated them well, and they did this to you, it's not a reflection of you or your worth as a partner at all. It's a reflection of them, their insecurities, as well as their character. Because if they're doing this, they are so wrapped up in themselves, so wrapped up with soothing their own perceived needs, that they're not even considering how this will make you feel and the devastating pain that they'll cause you by ditching you on this day. There's no empathy there. And one of the core components of emotional availability is the ability and the willingness to empathize with your partner, to care about their feelings, perspective, wants, needs, to share their emotions. And if they're doing this to you around Valentine's Day, they're not showing any empathy because they're not truly emotionally available for you. So take a deep breath and recognize it's not a reflection of you. It's completely a reflection of them. You wouldn't have done this to them, so you didn't deserve it.